Hello, welcome back to One of the Force of Star Wars podcast. My name's Phil, of course, and I'm joined as usual by Dave and Absent. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, my friend, my very patient friend. Thank you very much.
Yes, sadly, we've had some technical issues, which is why this episode is a little late going live. If this is a recording, so for example, you're watching us back on YouTube, or if you're listening back to us on Stitcher, on Podbean, on iTunes, or on Spotify, then this will have no bearing on the episode at all, except the fact that Dave's voice may not be as high quality as it usually. However, I have a new microphone, so hopefully mine will be a lot better than it usually is. So yes, welcome to our Christmas episode. A holiday episode for those of us abroad who, audience abroad who are not allowed to use the word Christmas anymore for some PC reason. Yes, it is that time of year again. We're going to do a little public service announcement before we start. There will be no Ones with the Force episode in 2 weeks' time, so on the 2nd of January. We're all taking an episode off so we can spend time with our family if we choose to, or our pubs and local friends if we desire. Yeah, so basically we're taking a month off. Hopefully we might have George in January for an episode. We're trying to arrange something. We are trying to get him, of course, back on the channel, but he is at all times, of course, feeding us information, helping with us behind the scenes. Although tonight he is at the Arsenal game, so say that what you will about it, you know? It's all right. We love you, George. If you do listen back to this, which, yeah, we're pretty sure you will. Anyway. This is going to be a very short episode. There's not been much news, of course. One of our bits of news, which I didn't include in our schedule, is the Star Wars Celebration. So we expect to start getting information coming up soon. So next year, you can expect to start ramping up. So before the new year, we didn't expect much anyway. So this is going to be quite a short episode for you guys. But hell, we might as well jump in. We've got a lot of Mandalorian news tonight, which is always good.
It's blown out, yeah. It's been quite a surprise. I mean, we've got a bit of news literally before I was messing around with my microphone, trying to get online with Phil, but failing badly. So yeah, it's been a big day for it.
Indeed. So the biggest bit of news we've had is over the last 2-3 episodes, we've been feeding you information of rumored cast members. All this coming from Entertainment Weekly, who are a very reputable source. If anything comes out from them, we're usually pretty confident that it's going to be legit. And we've actually had everything that we knew already confirmed and a little bit extra. So we've had the full casting officially announced. So Lucasfilms are pleased to announce the cast of the first ever Star Wars live-action TV show, The Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal, Narcos and Game of Thrones, has been cast in the lead role as a lone Mandalorian gunfighter in the Outer Rim in the outer reaches of the galaxy. He's joined by Gina Carano from Deadpool, Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad, Emily Swallow, Supernatural, Carl Weathers, Predator, Omid Vati, American Gods, Werner Herzog, Grizzly Man, and Nick Nolte, Warrior. A quote from him saying, "We are having a great time working with this entirely talented group, and it's excited for everyone to see what they're up to." From executive producer Jon Favreau. Currently in production, The Mandalorian is written and executive produced by Jon Favreau, with Dave Filoni from Clone Wars and Rebels directing the first episode and serving as the executive producer alongside Kathleen Kennedy and Connie Wilson, and obviously the story group. Additional episodic directors include Deborah Chow from Jessica Jones, Rick Famuyiwa, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but probably not, from Dope, Bryce Dallas Howard from Zombies, also you know her from Jurassic Park and things, and Taika Waititi from Thor Ragnarok, and What We Do in the Shadows, and that's the one I'm excited for most.
It's flying out, the information and the level of information we're getting finally as we're starting to ramp up towards 2019. Obviously, it was release year. I think we're going to get more and more information coming out. And as I said today, we just literally before we actually started to try and get on air, we got our composer announced.
Indeed, you're jumping over my next bit of news before we go there. Yes. So Ludwig Göransson, who did the score for Creed and Black Panther, which is one of the best scores Marvel ever done, is the score of The Mandalorian. And yeah, no, Marvel pulled out the bag of Black Panther anyway. I thought Black Panther was an incredible film. However, yes, the score was one of the best parts of that film, and judging from that, I haven't seen Creed myself. I do want to. Of course, Creed 2 is in cinemas now. But yes, from that background, I'm very much interested to see what he has to do with it.
It seems like there's a post on StarWars.com, and unfortunately I can't see that at hand at the moment, but he seemed really, really happy to be part of this universe, and that it seems like he's really interested. He does thank John Williams in the spiel on StarWars.com, and saying exactly what they thinks that he's going to bring to it. And I think it's a really, really interesting take to take someone who's in features to bring into this series a massive name to then bring the music to it, and it just adds to this more. It's going to be more a theatrical feel to this series than anything, I think.
Indeed. Well, so I've got the quotes up here now. So he's actually known for both Creed 2, Venom, Futile Station. And on television, he's also done Community and New Girl. He's received multiple Grammy Awards and Golden Globe nominations. He's also produced records for Haim and Chance the Rapper, although I would not know a damn thing about that. But he's also received 3 nominations for his work with Donald Glover, for his work on this Childish Gambino project. So he's already got a connection to the Star Wars universe there. His quoting is, "Words fail to express how surreal and humbling it feels to be invited into the Star Wars universe," Gordonson said. "I'm deeply grateful for Jon Favreau and Disney for this opportunity, and to John Williams for raising the bar so high with the iconic and intrepid scores. They will never be matched, and in these months I hope to honour the tradition of Star Wars musical landscape while propelling the Mandalorian to a new and uncharted territory. And I remember there is no try." Which I think that's a great ending quote there, of course. The famous quote by Yoda, "Do or do not, there is no try." And yes, he seems I'm very excited to work with them. He's worked with Disney before, he's worked with Childish Gambino, so for Lando. So he already has the background in it, and yeah, it can be very interesting to see. And of course, you never know, we could have a certain smuggler turn up in that universe anyway, so you never know. I reckon it'd be fantastic to see.
It's all good news, and I say it just points to a much more theatrical take on this series than maybe we first thought, with it being a straight-to-app release. It seems so much bigger than what I first imagined it to be.
Yes, it's not quite Disney's ye olde straight-to-DVD releases of many sequels they're pushing out.
This is no Lion King 2, you are right.
Well, it's more Lion King 3, I'm thinking of. Lion King 2 was more of a success than Lion King 3 on the... What was it, the Timon and Pumbaa one as well they did, which was basically the Lion King, but from their point of view, which was basically, here, let's push out the exact same film, which they're doing now with their live-action, quote-unquote, version, which is all CG anyway, so how can it be really live-action when it's all CG? But that's neither here nor there. I really just... that's just semantics for you. However, yes, from his score with Black Panther, I'm very excited to see what he brings to the Star Wars universe.
Really, really excited. Really, I didn't expect this level of composer to be brought in. Really exciting news.
Indeed. The next bit of news, of course, is Pedro Pascal has released some concept art, some concept sketches done by Dave Filoni. So we will put those up on our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter, so that you can take a look for yourself. It's just done on some A4 lined paper, but they're both done by Dave Filoni, so it's of course a very good piece of artwork. It is of the Mandalorian himself. It's kind of close to what we see in the promo image we've had released, except he doesn't have the gun in his back, and the armor itself has no color to it, no detail, so you don't really know what's going to look like finally. However, it's still the classic T-bar helmet with the scallops in the indents on the face. It's got the cape, of course. It looks really cool, but it's just interesting to see concept art released this early, basically.
I love that it's by Dave Filoni. That, to me, adds an extra level of quality to what we're going to see. More
Indeed.
Filoni, the better. It seems like it's almost like a seal of approval that he's put the artwork to some of this. And
did you make it to the Star Wars exhibition they had in London?
Yes, I did.
Yes, because George and I also went. So when you were there, of course, they had all the Dave Filoni concept art laid out there. They should have the Clone Wars and other bits and pieces as well. To see it up close and personal was incredible. So yes, this is a more of a actual concept sketch than some of those, which is of course done for the animated style. So it was done in that vein, whereas this is more of a live action, so more of an actual portrait. But they do look fantastic.
You can't go past a Dave Filoni sketch of anything at the minute. As far as Star Wars lore is concerned, he is now really as high a level as you can get. Behind George, he's now Star Wars.
Yes, I would completely argue that with you. I think that post Episode 3, he has had the most influence. And when I say post episode 3, I do actually include the Clone Wars in that, because of course Clone Wars came out in 2008. Because of course it's a 10-year anniversary this year. So I do actually personally believe that yes, post episode 3 he's had the most influence, even though George had the idea for Clone Wars. Dave was the storyteller. He talked to George. If you watch back the special features, he said, he spoke to him on a basis, and it was George's ideas, but he was the one that had the creative vision for it. So I would argue that yes, since 2005, he has been the forefront of Star Wars. And yes, of course, Kathleen Kennedy is the head of Lucasfilm, but she's not the head of Star Wars. I would wholeheartedly put that in Filoni's hands.
No, absolutely, yeah. The fact he's
well, not only that, actually, as an argument point, actually, I'd also put with Kiri Hart, and I can't remember the other name of the person in the story group, along with John Knoll. I would say yes, the story group now is the face.
They have to be. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy, for all she's an amazing producer, she still took over a franchise where she needs that wealth of knowledge behind her. And I think with the group that they've got ahead of this, with Dave Filoni in there, I think can only be good for the franchise. It really do.
The story group is the head, Dave Filoni is the brains, and Kathleen Kennedy is just the face they put out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, she is a key figurehead in what's going on, but she knows what she needs in terms of the help with the story group, and she utilizes that tool well. So it's not just her going pump out stuff. And even Bob Iger's come out and gone, actually, I'm wrong for putting out too much so quickly, but in a way that it was handled well by Filoni, and of course with Ron Howard with Solo, to basically make it as good as it has been for their mistake of putting out so much so quickly. And yeah, those comments that are, so we'll put it on our Facebook page, we'll put it on our Instagram. They are just beautiful. And these are just bits of live bit of paper with sketches on it. I mean, in terms of, if you could go to a pub, if you go to a cantina, you sit down with 3 people, you have George Lucas, Pablo Hidalgo, and Dave Filoni, and yourself. There is your Star Wars universe in a nutshell. Lucas is, of course, the creator. Hidalgo is the encyclopedia, and Filoni the artist. You have those 3 together, and it's just, that is incredible.
Magic right there. Apart from Pablo Hidalgo will probably just troll you a lot. That's what he does.
This is true. This is true, and he'll just end up by saying, "Well, this isn't canon, so it's fine."
That's exactly right. Yeah.
For those of you not on the video side, there I waited for the perfect moment of Dave taking a sip from his drink, as it is quite cold in his garage, before I made that. But yeah, so that again another bit of news there. However, moving on, we've had the Academy Awards nominees put up so far, and Star Wars: A Solo Story is up for best visual effects, which of course it would be ILM do a fantastic job, and it's something you kind of expect. But also, I think more importantly, John Knoll will be honoured with ILM's Chief Creative Officer. Sorry, try and find my quote here. ILM Chief Creative Officer John Knoll will be honoured the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Scientific and Technical Awards presentation at the awards ceremony. The award has been presented to him and his brother Thomas Knoll and Mark Hamburg for their work on Adobe Photoshop. The awards, one of 9 awards being presented on February 9th, represented by 27 individual award recipients, including Pixar's Ed Catmull. The Scientific Engineering Awards by the Academy Pictures will be presented to Dave Simmons, Dave Walk, James Aquila. There's a long list here. I can't quite read them all. With Adobe After Effects and Oscar-winning visual effects supervisor John Knoll. So you've got the award there. So here we go. Here's again another quote for you. So each year the Academy performs a diverse committee made up of nearly 60 experts on the technology of filming tasks, examining the tools and artists used to create films. This year, the committee is recognizing the 9 technologies from around the world. These extraordinary contributions to the science of filmmaking have elevated our art form to incredible new heights. And this is the thing, if you don't know, John Knoll, although yes, he is best known for his work on Star Wars, has pushed the technical boundaries of Adobe Photoshop. If anyone's ever used Photoshop, you have him to thank for it.
His list of achievements beyond Star Wars is quite incredible.
I've got those also, by the way, for my reading app there. I'm trying to read many things at once, so apologies for that.
for his achievement in sort of, yes, he came up with he brought up the idea of Rogue One for a movie, but behind the scenes in ILM, he's massive in ILM, and yeah, Photoshop is him. I mean, to create Photoshop, that's not just a little by note or a footnote in your CV. That's a big thing. I just think it's well deserved. Give the man all the awards. Give the man his money. To quote a film. So yeah, it's well deserved. These technical Oscars are just the ones we can't fit into the night. So we're going to have a special awards dinner for you guys. You can come along. But you know what? It's all good. Give them it all gravy. Just give them it.
Indeed, indeed. Moving on to other news. So we have something that isn't very surprising. We reported on. I don't know if we reported on this, but we had a private discussion about this a few months ago. Princess Leia has been recast. Now, when I say that, I'm talking in terms of Resistance here, and I'm not talking about the live action, of course. It's really quite here. So Leia Organa will always and forever be associated with the late, great Carrie Fisher, but other actresses have tackled the role for various Star Wars animated series. Voice actress Rachel Berta landed the role for Disney Channel's Star Wars Resistance, and she first voiced the Princess turned General in that show's series premiere. Given the timeline of Star Wars Resistance, the odds were always good that Leia would be back. That apparently didn't mean Berta would be back. Star Wars Resistance evidently has recast the role. The recasting was announced ahead of Star Wars Resistance winter finale, which we will talk about later, and it seems the switcheroo was done quietly. In the closing credits of the winter finale, General Organa was listed as being voiced by Carolyn Hennessy, not Rachel Berta. Hennessy also voiced Leia for the episodes of Lego Star Wars All-Stars. In hindsight, it's possible to tell the voices are slightly different, but fans might never have realised this had there not been an announcement for it or in the credits. Although no official explanation has been given for why Leia has been recast, it's possible that Rachel Berta's controversial post on social media to do with Ford and to do with a political situation out in the United States, as has been deleted back in September, has led to her dismissal from the Star Wars project. We may never know for sure unless Lucasfilm Disney makes an announcement, but the fact remains that Berta is no longer the one behind Leia on the small screen. And so it's something that we discussed off camera. I don't think we reported on the tweets. However, considering what happened with Chuck Wending, we did actually say it could happen again, and of course, this appears to be the case.
I think it's very much the case of what she put out. I can't remember what she was supporting. Oh, she made light of a woman senator, or
it was a female. I can't remember if she's a senator or she's in the other political realm, the legal realm, who's coming forth testimony against Judge Kavanaugh, who of course has now been voted to the Supreme Court justices. And she was testimony about some sexual assault that happened in the 1980s or 70s.
Yeah, she made light of that in a tweet, and that went viral. A lot of people at that point said she shouldn't be playing Leia if that was going to be the way her stance was on there. So she has been quietly removed, and I think it's because she was only in the pilot. I think it's much easier for them not to have to announce it because this is a pilot.
Unlike Chuck Wending, who they had already commissioned the Shadows of Vader series that has been since cancelled and a new series has been created. And he also had an untitled Star Wars book that was coming out that's also been axed. No word what's filling in that role yet, but we do have a new Vader series lined up to take on that part, which makes me happy, but at the same time, I would love to see what the Shadows of Vader would have portrayed. However, yes, this was done a bit more quietly, but all the same, I think it's very much a careful of watch what you put out. If you work with Disney or you work with any company that has especially a family-friendly face, watch what you say carefully. You do not want you screwed up.
The mouse impression is always amazing. It is the case now. You've got to be so careful what you put out there. Anybody who's posting on social media can't put things out that even 10, 12, 13 years, 20 years down the line could be pulled out as offensive at the time because you just can't risk that at all. It's people now going clearing their browsing histories just if they're going to even try and go for an interview in some position in Hollywood. I didn't say this. I promise it was someone else. You've got to be just so careful, especially when they're owned by Disney. And I guess they took the stance that, yeah, you know what, we can't have you in this role because of these tweets that you put out. But because it was a pilot and we're now moving on and forward.
Indeed, it is one of those things of even 10 years ago, we could be stupid without anyone knowing. Now it's just out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If you have any opinions, just keep them private, basically. Just don't put it in a place where your employer can see them. I mean, that goes not just for Hollywood, though, it's anything. Don't be stupid. It's just a way of looking at life. Don't be stupid. Don't put things out there where your employer can see them potentially. You could lose your job over your own opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong, your opinion's your opinion. Free speech is free speech. However,
what fake Twitter accounts are for.
Yeah, it's not that, or fake hacks. Oh my god, I've liked someone's post from like 5 years ago. Quick, make it look like I've been hacked. That old scenario. I mean, it's silly that we have to at this day and age, but I can't say I haven't done it. I know out there probably people have done it as well.
I don't know what you're talking about, Phil. I don't know what you're talking about. You're a disgusting human being.
Of course. Now, which one of us is lying? That's the question. Yeah, so she has been unceremoniously axed from the role in a very quiet and dignified manner, although we all know why. So we've had another thing come up recently, which is the Profiles in History memorabilia auction. The interesting thing is that the Lucasfilm, sorry, not Lucasfilm, the Skywalker lightsaber from Episode 4 was supposed to go on auction there. However, Mark Hamill stepped in and went, "There's actually more than one, don't be fooled," and that item actually got withdrawn from the sale. So, obviously, Mark Hamill protecting the fans there has actually backfired on the owner of said weapon, and he's had to withdraw it because, well, it wasn't going to get the price tag it was expected to get. However, a original TIE pilot helmet from the same film was offered up for sale, and it sold for $256,000, approximately £190,000 sterling, or 1 metric crap ton of Imperial credits. I mean, I'm sorry, but 190 grand, $256,000 for a helmet. That's not even including like tax and all the rest of it, because you have to pay that in America. Some days we pay taxes here, but when you buy something here, you buy it at its final price. You don't add taxes on afterwards, which is the most stupid thing in the world ever. But yes, 190 grand for a helmet. I mean, you could buy probably 190,000. Actually, yeah, probably about 190,000 full. Oh, at least 100. Yeah, 190,000 full. Well, 19,000 actually full suits of armor for that. Full clone armor or TIE. Well, being a TIE pilot, you've got a helmet, a chest box, and that's it. You can buy tens of thousands of those suits for the cost of one helmet.
It's crazy because it's screen worn that it's going for this amount of money. Obviously, you can go somewhere like a Novos.
You know, our usual rant is Felicity Jones. I think we may have found a new benchmark here, because how many Felicity Jones autographs could you get? Actually, $250 if it was do it in the American way. $250. That's 100,000 Felicity Jones autographs.
It's just crazy that, I mean, look, Profiles in History are well known for what they do, and they have
10,000. No, I'll get my maths correct. I'm tired here. 10,000 Felicity Jones autographs can get you one TIE Fighter helmet.
You go for screen props; they're well known for this, and the price gets bumped up because they're screen worn. No matter what condition they're in, people will have this because it's appeared in a movie. Although you can get replicas that are better than what you're getting for that, but way less money. But you're right; it's screen used. This is on the actual screen. They can probably pinpoint this is the scene. That's it. That's the helmet, and that just adds to some players much more value. I'm guessing he didn't just offer that much amount of money. It's going to be a rolling auction, so it has crept up and crept up. But you know what? If I had that kind of money, I'd probably have some kind of screen use prop. I'd probably buy that lightsaber for one. I don't care how many there was. Give me it.
Indeed, but yeah, 190 grand for a helmet.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, especially considering it's not even a character item. In terms of, it's not from a main character. It's from a TIE pilot. I mean, it's cool, but 190 grand cool? Really?
Oh no! I mean, absolutely not for me. But you know what? Somebody is very happy with their TIE Fighter helmet at home in a glass case now.
Indeed. So, if you are the lucky owner of a £190,000 or $256,000 TIE Pilot helmet, if you wish to sponsor Wands of the Force, the Star Wars podcast, just get in touch with us at our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll be more than happy.
You will find us because I'm posting every day, no matter what I do. It's out there.
Indeed, indeed. Dave's been doing very well with our daily dose of the Advent calendar. I wasn't able to get one this year, I don't have the room to put it. So I'm enjoying watching him unboxing it. Going, I wish I had that. But yes, it's one of those things. We are trying to post as much as we can, do as much as we can. We do love and appreciate all of you out there for listening, watching, and doing what we can. And do what you can to support the show. But yes, if you've bought a £190,000 helmet, and if you wish to donate just a small fraction of that to Wands of the Force, we greatly appreciate it. We can fix his microphone, fix my lighting situation, give me a better background. We can maybe hire George to actually do some episodes, you know.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
No. We'll just take the microphones in the background here. We'll never be able to hire George to do any episodes again. It's fine. No, we do love you, George. And then moving on to actually our final bit of news for this evening. This is how quick tonight's show is going. There is no Star Wars. There is no toy shelf. There's only one bit of news for games, and this is the last bit of news we actually have in the main news. Is how quickly tonight's show is going. So we've had one interesting bit of news from Sphera. So Sphera, the remote control BB-8, is one of the most iconic products that have been released alongside The Force Awakens in 2015. Since then, Sphera has updated BB-8 with a Force band and also brought out working three-legged astromech droids R2 and R2Q5, well, R2D2 and R2Q5. You've also had a battle-worn BB-8 as well. The business has grown at a phenomenal rate, encompassing products from other licenses, including Cars and Spider-Man, so you're still talking Disney there. However, the firm's CEO, Paul Brien, it's a double-barrel one there, Brien, has stated that its licensed toys business required more resources than it was worth, and the toys reportedly sold well when released to a movie, but interest waned over time as movie became more distant. So the firm has confirmed they will be clearing out its remaining licensed inventory and won't be restocking supply. App support will continue for at least 2 years, if not longer, said Brien. It's unsurprisingly also you can probably expect to pick up one for quite cheap now. They were going actually quite cheap, starting to go for quite cheap anyway, and now you can see why.
Yeah, it's not. You're right. It's not unexpected. They sold millions of the BB-8s when they first came out of The Force Awakens, millions of stock. But you're right. The further that movie gets away, the less. I think I said the first year they made a fortune on them. Second year really dipped. Third year hardly any bought at all. And you're right. You're going to always get that where you're going to lose interest. And I think they came down. They were on sale in the UK. You're at like 49.
Indeed, I could afford one. I was going to get one at that price. It's like I really want one.
To be honest, I think it's worth waiting because I'd really like the R2D2 one. I already have the BB.
Really? You, an R2D2 fan, didn't have
I know, crazy, right? So I'm going to get the R2 one, but I'll probably wait again because I think that price might come down again to around about maybe £30 to get a hold of one, which would be an absolute steal. But I'll certainly get one if their price drops before they actually disappear.
Indeed. And so will I. So as I said, no toy shelf, no Star Wars. In games, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is now free with Origin Access. So if you're silly enough to actually pay EA to game, buy their stuff, then you can now have Battlefront 2 for free. I think they should give the game away for free now anyway, with the amount they've...
It'll be on the front of a magazine soon, just sellotaped on the front. Just.
Do you remember those days when you'd go walk into a buy a magazine and there would be a free DVD or free music?
Right.
Yeah, now it's here's a code for you to download it. They're not even going to give you a physical copy anymore. It's yes, they should give it away for free. Unfortunately, the game has tanked completely, and that's all EA's fault. But yes, so now if you pay EA the privilege of being part of Origin Access, you can now get the game for free if you feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's available again on Xbox as well. You have an EA Access on Xbox as well. So you can now go on there and download Battlefront 2 and play as much as your little heart desires. But why would you? Don't bother yourself.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If the game was free, then hell yeah, it's one of the best free games ever. But paying for it after all this time, you just no.
And I think the only other thing really in gaming news is this morning we learned that we're also losing a mobile game as well.
Yes, Force Arena. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has been an incredible success and keeps on growing. Whereas Force Arena and Commander have been released and done within a few years. I mean, Force Arena we only had for what, a year and a half now. We've been going for nearly 2 years, and it came out within about 6 months of us first doing this.
And they're finishing it now. Yeah, they're pulling away, and it's gonna disappear.
Whereas Galaxy of Heroes just celebrated its 3rd anniversary, and the game's getting more and more popular.
It just I guess studios have to kind of, if they're in mobile gaming, have to keep moving. To just rely on one game, where they say now the in-app purchases are going to stop. If you've got any credits and things like that, you'll be able to use those inside the game, but there'll be no further support for in-app purchases. And I guess I understand they want to go out there and probably create something new and move on. But yeah, it's a shame to be losing a Star Wars game.
It is, but as compared to something like Galaxy of Heroes, which I play, the numbers were just not comparable. Whereas, released, it boomed in the first 6 months. I know George played it religiously for a while, and then it tanked to the point now where they've pulled the plug. Whereas Galaxy of Heroes has been climbing. Commander, I think they pulled the plug eventually on that one as well. And they have their Candy Crush style game as well. I'm not sure how that's doing either. But I think that's more of a Star Wars licensed one than an EA one. It's an EA licensed game. The only one that's done well is Capital Games with Galaxy of Heroes. And that's because it's mainly done by Capital, not done by EA. It's just proof, again, EA cannot handle the Star Wars license. Oh.
Sorry, my Mac will just get back in. Sorry.
Apparently, something is coming to life in Dave's house. Yes, it's one of those things. Unfortunately, we are losing on the Star Wars game, but it's proof EA really capable of handling the license. And now, finally, we move on to Resistance Rewind. This really is a short episode indeed. My God, we're at Resistance Rewind already. So the episode opens with Yeager and Sam, where we learn that Yeager has loaned the fireball to Kaz without his knowledge, and the stabilizers have not been fixed. Kaz has a little bit of a hiccup, but meets up with Poe and General Organa, where she sends on a mission to find out more about the First Order from a possible flight path they have tracked from the information that Kaz has given them. They arrive at what they think is an abandoned outpost to find out the station is being primed for demolition. That puts Poe, Kaz, and BB-8 and CB-23 on a race to find information before being caught. So CB-23 have taken the X-Wings away whilst the guys are at the station. Before they're caught by Captain Phasma and her First Order cronies. They narrowly escape to their ships when Kaz uses a mining arm to knock down a bridge that Phasma and her troopers are on, with Poe barely escaping. When they do, they get to their ships, pursued by Von Reg and his ties, but they let them go in order to blow the station, which Kaz and Poe barely escape and get back to report to the General. So that's Station Takes Black. It's episode 11. It's the mid-season finale, the winter finale, whichever way you want to look at it. And I think it's the best episode they've done so far.
It was so reminiscent of Luke and Leia and Han running around the Death Star in New Hope, being fired upon by stormtroopers, and the fights against TIE fighters. It's
classic Star Wars.
Yeah, that was absolute classic Star Wars.
And you know what? This is going to be a surprise to everyone who I know. I liked Phasma in this. There are some people I genuinely know out there who right now are going, what the hell has happened? Phil likes Phasma. What is going on? Everyone out there knows Phasma is my least liked Star Wars character, below even Jar Jar. For me, she is just... I can't stand it. Everything she's been in so far has been terrible. But she was okay in this one.
She's playing much better as a character in this series in tiny little bits and pieces.
I think because she actually did stuff in this. She chased after them and did badass jumps and rolls and actually was actively trying to kill people instead of going, I'm a coward, run away.
Yeah, it's the difference in a character in this is massive. It really is like the opposite ends of the spectrum to how she's being treated in this. But again, I enjoyed those parts of the episode. I loved seeing Leia. It was really, really nice to see her as General Leia Organa again, and it really takes you back. But it does make you miss Carrie more when you see her come on screen. But I love seeing that.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, Carrie will always be our princess. She'll always be our general. Well, she's royalty to me. But yes, to see the characters back is always good. Have the characters back in Rebels is always good as well. And of course, at the end of Rogue One, Spoiler alert if you haven't yet seen the film. And if you have seen the film but you missed having commentary, we do actually have a commentary on our page as well. So go back through our annals, you'll find our special commentary of Star Wars Rogue One. But yes, no, seeing her back on screen was always good.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, I'll not lie, I'm not massively into Resistance. I find it, I've tried and I just can't quite get into it. But there are flashes and moments and scenes that are really, really good Star Wars. It just doesn't seem to be all held together for me very well. Once when they're on the outpost, I kind of lose interest. But when he's off on port with Poe and Adventures, that stuff I really enjoy. So it's a series of two halves for me, and the last couple of episodes have been really good. When Poe Dameron's been back in it, I really enjoy Oscar Isaac's performance in these. Really like them running around in a Death Star-like location. But yeah, the first part of the series as a whole, just it really hasn't done it for me. What are your thoughts on the first half of Series 1?
The first maybe only series, because it's only 6 months before Force Awakens. I like it. I am. Dave's in the middle. George's at one end. I'm at the other. George has to just catch up and watch it. Although he likes coming on the story, but still really isn't sold on the style. For me, by now, the style is well beyond that. I've accepted it. I've embraced it. I like it. I love the actual look of the X-wings and the TIE fighter. I think for me, the style fits best in space. It looks visually incredible. I think for me, that's where it personally, I think the visual art, the style of it lies. That's a strong point. However, the series on a whole, there's been a couple of dud episodes, but in any TV show, you're always going to get that. But on a whole, I liked it. It's not Clone Wars and Rebels. It's not something that I'm going, I can't wait for the next episode. Oh, I don't want to miss a thing. However, I still like. I really want to catch up. I still want to watch it. So it's still aimed at kids, and it's very clearly aimed at kids. However, it's got enough Star Wars magic that I still want to watch it. And yeah, I think it's not the best thing they've ever put out, but by far it's not the worst. I think as a different style whilst waiting for the Mandalorian and Clone Wars, I like it. I think it's good. I think it's done better than I thought it would.
I think it has exceeded expectations from when I first saw the opening trailer, and as I say, there are parts of it I've really enjoyed. Just as a whole, for me, it hasn't quite hit the note I wanted it to. But you know what? You're right. It is aimed at children, and they're probably kids who absolutely adore this series, and I can see why. It's just not quite for me. So I don't know if we'll get a second series. I think we might get this as a one and done.
I think because of the timeline, I think it's going to be one and done. But we get to see that.
Yeah, we'll find. I mean, I'm sure we'll find out. Probably Celebration. There will be an announcement, I would have thought, around then of whether we are going to get a second series of this or if it is going to end at that point. And we're going to go, right, this is the end of the series, running into The Force Awakens. And this doesn't even have to be like, oh, and everyone's dead. It could just be, it's not happening. The Resistance leave, the First Order leave the base, and they go on to the adventure that they have in Episode 7.
Indeed. Well, they are finding Dynantium, I think it is called. I know I'm misquoting it there, but it's the material they use to make blasters out of. It's the core that allows you to actually produce a blaster bolt, and that's what they've been mining on this outpost on Theta Black. Does I Theta Black there, Metallica? So I'm right there. Anyway, Theta Black, which of course we know is what Starkiller base is. So it's tying those loose ends together. And 200,000 kilos is what they mine. So you know it's a big operation. Of course, we know it gets its power from the nearby sun. So with Starkiller base, again, it's tying those knots all together, those loose ends together, and giving you glimpses of where they're at for The Force Awakens. And I'm very interested to see where they do go with it. I don't think we'll get a second season, again, purely because of the timeline. However, yes, I'm happy with what they've done.
No, as I say, if it's one and done, and we get as this was just so we want to do, we had a story idea, we want to get through before we get back to Clone Wars starting again, and whatever is coming next along the line of the Disney app, because I'm sure there's going to be more announced. Fair play that they want this idea out, and they're executing it with the style they wanted, and they say there are a lot of people enjoying it, so that's a great thing for them. So let's see where it goes and where it takes us.
Yeah. Indeed, indeed. And that brings us to the end of the show tonight of our main news. Again, we knew it was going to be a short episode, of course. Being before the holiday break, there wasn't going to be a huge amount. The other bit of news, actually, which we didn't put in, that wasn't in schedule, meant to put in, the main host for Star Wars Celebration 2019 in Chicago has been announced, and it is Warwick Davis. No surprises there. He does the fan base a great service. Yes, it is a very expected announcement, but in a very good way. Warwick Davis has done nothing but good for the fans. He's always been great with them whenever you talk to him, and he's got nothing but love for the franchise. He's always willing to do stuff for it. Whenever he's been asked back to do it, he has. He's been in every film, along with Anthony Daniels. He's the most surviving, most repetitive actor to come back. And of course, he wasn't in 4 and 5, but he's done things for everything else. Even Weasel got reprised as a character.
Yeah.
So although not surprised, I'm not disappointed. I also love his interaction. When we saw him at Celebration in 2016, and he does have a great rapport with the audience.
Not just a rapport with the audience, but I think because he does a lot of the interviews for the panels, and I think he has a good rapport with most of the actors that he'll be speaking to, which I think really helps to open them out in front of the audience as well. He's a funny guy. I really like Warwick Davis. I've got a lot of time for him.
Indeed. I mean, my best memory of that is still at Celebration in 2016 in the Anthony Daniels panel. Man, I managed to make them both laugh. I mean, when I had the idea for the question, I turned to you and said it, and you were just like, "Yeah, like, do it." I'm like, "Yeah, all right, we'll see." Like, of course, if you haven't seen the Anthony Daniels panel from Star Wars Celebration 2016, before Ones with the Force was officially a thing, when we'd only just met, in fact, Dave and I had only met at that point. We didn't even know
George then, yeah.
Little did we know that evening we'd be meeting some little brummy from Bowie, and yeah, we created Ones with the Force. But yeah, so go back, find that panel, watch it. You'll know what I mean. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Just go. Just know I make them laugh. I make them really, really laugh. And also, I'm in it for later on as well when they're banging on about the comic as well. Well, banging on about why the red arm? Don't ask about the red arm. Don't ask about the red arm. And I was like, read the comic. Funny you should mention that. Ta-da! Like, yeah, I knew this was coming. I was like, just get on with it. However, no, he does have a great rapport with the audience and his fellow actors and whoever's been in the show. So, show or the series that basically has been a franchise. And yeah, although not surprised, looking forward to it.
It's going to be great, and Phil and I will be reporting from all the panels when they've finished. We'll be online probably wee hours of the morning because it's in Chicago time. So what's about 5 hours behind us. So we will be getting up.
We're 5 ahead. So yes, we'll have our reporter on the ground as well. George will not be absent. George will be our reporter on the ground. He'll be doing live videos. We'll get him on. Hopefully, when he gets back to his hotel, we'll have him on the laptop. We'll do what we can to have something. I mean, I'm sure that we can arrange some early morning calls. So we'll get something sorted. We promise you, we're going to bring you as much content as we can. We will reporting. Like we did for Celebration. Last year, when yes, I kind of blew my voice and was tired to hell and back, shocked to hell and back when I did 9 out of 9 videos in 3 days, whatever it was. We were just pumping them out left, right, and centre, and I was stay up till silly o'clock in the morning. So yes, we will be bringing up that content. But for now, we're on to Cantina Talk, and since it is our Christmas episode and we have our Christmas spirit on, or our holiday spirit, happy Hanukkah, happy Christmas. Happy holidays to all those around the world. Of course, we recognise and celebrate all religions, but the main one, of course, is Judaism. If you're not part of that, then what are you doing here? Get out. No, of course, happy celebrations to anyone out there. Happy Robonica to all you Futurama fans, of course. But for now, yes. So since it is our Christmas episode, we've got a special Christmas-themed Canteen Talk for you this evening, and that is, of course, what is your best Star Wars Christmas memory?
It's to be honest, it's fairly simple. I remember the day. Obviously, it's Christmas Day. Really easy to remember what day it was. But I remember when I got the Millennium Falcon. That Christmas morning, literally, it is vivid in my head of opening up that paper and seeing it inside, seeing the box, that lovely, beautiful red box with the Millennium Falcon on it. And literally, I don't think I opened another present for probably until after lunch, because all I'd asked for was this Millennium Falcon, and there it was. Santa Claus himself, sealed and delivered with elf magic and pixie dust, had brought that Millennium Falcon to me, and it was a treasured toy. It was just amazing. At that time, I mean, I can't tell you what the price tag was, but back when it was out, that was a lot. That was an expensive item. That was a big ticket item. Probably about £30-40, but that was back in probably early 80s when I got that. Magnificent, and so grateful to have it. And I can't think of another time when I got a toy that excited me quite so much at Christmas to get a hold of that Millennium Falcon. That is my absolute, and anybody ask me, that's my Christmas moment. Having that Millennium Falcon in my hand was just the best.
Indeed. I mean, for me, my best Star Wars memory is actually present-wise for my birthday, but in terms of Christmas memory, it's actually very recent. So 4 years ago, basically, I've been wanting the Star Wars Blu-ray collection for a good couple of years since it came out, but I'd never got around to getting it in terms of I didn't have the money. I was investing in my job in terms of what I do now. I had to spend a lot to get to where I am. I spend money to make money, as they say. I'm not going to too much detail here, but I had to basically invest all of my money into what I'm doing now. So I always had to prioritize my future career over personal things for myself. So I never got around to buying it. I never got around to buying it and never had it. And I wanted it for a few years. Again, money was tight, so I couldn't really get it. And then 4 years ago, I've been asking for it, and I've opened it up, and there it was. It was the Blu-ray collection. That's all I really wanted, was that Blu-ray collection. Finally, I had it in my hands. And okay, it's not. There are other Star Wars memories for toys for Christmas, also for birthdays as well. But for me, just getting it on Blu-ray, finally having the high definition, finally having all the documentaries, finally having basically all in one place, just before The Force Awakens came out, that was, it was much before Force Awakens. We'd only just had the first trailer for it. So for me, to finally have it all in one place was just what I'd always wanted. And it took me a long time to build up like the full collection I have now, everything on Blu-ray, all releases, special releases, or theatrical versions, to have the Clone Wars, to have Rebels, to have it signed, to have everything. To get the collection I now have, is because I've been working from the investments I made then. I've now earned the money to be able to have my own little collection. Dave, of course, I know you've done it for many years since you've been working. Again, you know that sacrifices have to be made, and George himself was doing that as well for Celebration. So for me to finally have it all in one place, that was my dream. And of course, after Christmas lunch, when I was like, does anyone mind if I bugger off for a couple of hours, I literally just went and watched episode 4, A New Hope, in high definition for the first time, and I nearly cried at finally having it in one place and having that high definition. And yeah, I mean, for me, as I said, we've had our conversation in the past of favorite Star Wars moment and how you got into it. And of course, for me, the first scene of A New Hope, when you have the Star Destroyer going over your head, not the blockade runner, but the actual Star Destroyer, that immense sound and just the feeling of it all. To have those emotions brought back with the Blu-ray was just, that for me is my Christmas moment. Again, I know it's not. I have toy memories, I have other happy memories, but that one for me is very key. Although I don't remember, and this is where it gets paid. But ask my mum and dad on this one. The other one was I was given the VHS collection. I can't remember if it was Christmas or birthday. It was 1997, so it must have been either Christmas of 97 or my birthday 98. So it's going to be around that time then. I think, memory serves me correctly, it was Christmas, but I don't remember, but getting hold of that VHS set, which I watched religiously and wound and rewound, special editions. So you had all the documentaries at the start as well. This is the other thing, boys and girls, you won't remember this. Some of you out there are too young to know this. Some of you out there will know my pain well, but you'd have to rewind to the documentaries and fast forward through it enough to find where the film started. If you want to just watch the film, if you had to watch documentaries and then the film, or you want just documentaries and rewind past it all, and it was a nightmare. Now, of course, you have the options menu, which people don't realize these days what a godsend that is. They really don't. But yes, so for me personally, it's getting hold of that Blu-ray was, that was important. That was special.
Awesome.
But yes, that brings us to the end of this episode. We feel dragged out enough as much as we can to give you an hour's worth of content. We know it won't be this time round. We do try to give you at least an hour every single time. I remember when we had the discussions going, it's going to be an hour and a half, 2 hour show. Like, I don't know if we can do that. Let's try for an hour, hour and a half, see what we can get. Sometimes we've hit 2 hours. Sometimes we've hit, I think our longest was 2.5 hours. That was long.
I think we talked about The Last Jedi spoiler.
Yes.
Went almost as long as the movie did, yeah.
Yes, the fact that it was longer than our Rogue One commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, we have done long shows before. This one is just a short one. But as per usual, thank you so much for joining us, Dave.
Yeah, just to close out, like we've just said, I mean, happy holidays to everyone. This is our last show for 2018, unless anything breaks. If any news breaks before we come back, we will certainly come on. If it's really big news, we'll come on and do a quick episode to talk about that. But yeah, just a massive thank you for everyone for being here. As I say, our social media is out there every day. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get in touch with us on there. As I say, we put stuff out there every day for people to have a look at. And the people who are following us on Twitter has grown. The people on Instagram is growing daily. And we've got a few more people now subscribed to our channel on YouTube. We are out there anywhere you want to get your audio, where you normally get your audio. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and another one that has escaped my mind.
No, that's the audio.
So we are everywhere. You can get a hold of us. So just a massive, massive thank you for you all being part of Ones with the Force, the only channel worth listening to called Ones with the Force. But yeah, please come back. We will be back in January. Hope we'll have George. We've got some new thumbnails planned. We've got some nice things to go out there that you'll see. It's going to be our new sort of change, our new look for the new year. And I think it's going to look really cool when we get those out. So yeah, please just, if you've been with us now, if you've just joined us, it's your first episode, you can get a full back catalogue now in audio and listen to us, put us in your ears. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this for nearly 2 years coming up. And really, please come back so we can continue doing it.
Indeed. In fact, I mean, don't forget, Ones with the Force was born, it was born a celebration. In terms of the three of us wanting to do something Star Wars related, George, his other show, Cinema Savvy, his other channel, graciously invited us to be part of their Battle of the Brackets. Now, this was 2 years ago in October. We did the first one, we did the second one, and we had the 0 hour review, which was for Star Wars Rebels. No, what did we have? It was the trailer. It was Rebels trailer.
Yeah, it was the trailer for the series, yeah.
And I put out a message to the guy saying, hey, should we jump on and do something about this? It would be kind of cool. And George and Dave both went, yeah, sounds pretty awesome. We jumped on, we did that, and we went, hang on a second, this is kind of fun. Why don't we do our own show? And of course, Cinema Savvy graciously hosted the first 5 episodes, and then we've been doing our own thing ever since. George, of course, does both. Go and find him on Cinema Savvy. Don't forget to check out Dave at The Life of Brien. I might bring back the Bucket of Awesomeness at some point. We're yet to see, but I am working on that. It's just personal life gets in the way first. But anyway, don't forget, Dave at Life of Brien, your R2-D2 build ramping up to its finale. I know that. Don't forget to go and check that out. George, of course, you can find at Cinema Savvy. But yes, don't forget, well, thank you for being with us Once the Force. In terms of hoping to enjoy our show and our Christmas memories, if you have any Christmas memories of your own, leave them in a comment down below, either on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean. We're on YouTube. So if you want our audio version, if you want to see us, you want to see my ugly mug and his ugly mug for some elitist reason, if you really want to do that to yourself, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us at all our usual audio places. Until then, thank you so much for joining us. We've been Ones of the Force. May the Force always be with you. Good night and happy holidays.